It was to be the car of the future, but after 4 short years, it became nothing but a bad memory. That's this week on Motoring 97. The car I was talking about is the Fiero, and believe it or not, in 1984, it was the official pace car at the Indianapolis 500, a spot reserved for hot cars. Well, the Fiero was definitely hot. In fact, one of its favorite habits was catching fire, among other things. But did the Fiero get a bum rap, and did Pontiac bail out too early? Well, we're going to meet some people this week that think the answer is definitely yes.
Well, Mike, as you're well aware, there's a lot of exciting things, but by far the most exciting thing to me has been the commitment that the people in the plant have made to producing a high-quality product that is so needed by the marketplace.
Stylish and affordable was how Pontiac described the Fiero when it arrived in 1984. With a base price of about $8,000 American dollars, the Fiero was a big sales success, with over 136,000 units sold in the United States.
Are you ready? Like this Fiero. The cutest. I went on my own without my parents, and I paid for it $4,000. Okay, my father did kick in $6,000. But I am not a princess. If I were a princess, I wouldn't have paid for anything. Does anyone have any gum?
But the car was far from perfect. Mechanical problems plagued the vehicle. Sales figures were cut in half the following year, and by the end of 1988, the Fiero was out of production.
When they first brought it out, it was a bit of a Mickey Mouse thing, because they had like the front end of a Citation bolted into the back end of the Fiero, and the front end was basically Chevette suspension. However, once they stuck the V6 in it, stopped it catching fire, it was actually a real good little car.
Looking back, is it a bad dream? Was it a mistake?
No, it was never a mistake. It was a great car. The only thing was that Pontiac had to sell the vehicle initially as a commuter car to be able to get it through, because the other two-seater belonged to Corvette. They couldn't sell it as a sports car to the corporation, so they sold it as a commuter car. And eventually it evolved into the 2M6, nice little 2.8-liter V6, little screamer, new body style, new front end. And then it got its new suspension in 1988, which was unfortunately the last year for the production of the vehicle.
Do you think Pontiac gave up on it too quickly?
Yeah, the instant that they got it right was the instant that they trashed it. And if they'd have given it 6 months or maybe even one more model year, I think they would have seen sales pick up, and appreciably so.
Once embarrassed to admit they owned a Fiero, many of the close to 300,000 registered owners are now coming out of the closet, with car clubs springing up all over North America. The Fiero has also meant a dream come true for the owners of the Fiero shop, who service, custom, and drive Fieros.
The love affair with the Fiero started in '92 when I purchased my first Fiero, and I kind of had it serviced in a couple of places, and I realized that nobody really likes to work on them, or some people don't know how to work on them. So I started to do a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's how we started 3 years ago. And it helps that all of us drive one of these, at least one of these, and they have confidence in us. I suppose that's what brings them here. And there's a lot of people out there who love the cars, and whatever some people say about it, it's a great car. And as long as you don't mind driving a two-seater, it's something to own.
Well, about 8 months ago, we started to put a 3.8 supercharged engine in it out of a 94 Bonneville. And we've had it bored out, and it's been ported and polished and blueprinted and balanced, and put a 5-speed manual Muncie transmission on the thing, and the motor now is around 300, but we're in the middle of putting a NOS kit in it, nitrous oxide, and that should take it up to close to 400 horsepower.
Your thoughts on this car? I mean, we're here with a gentleman who makes a living at customizing them, but what went wrong with the Fiero?
I think the problem was they never put enough horsepower in them. They had the handling and they had the looks, but they just didn't have the performance. Even with the 2.8, it was only putting out 140 horsepower, and it just wasn't enough to keep the guys who like that kind of a car happy.
In 1984, when the first production year came out, their main problems was engine compartment fire. Where it occurred is in the rear firewall of the vehicle. Main wiring harness junction was in that area, so was the exhaust manifold. What occurred most times was oil would leak out of the valve cover, sit onto the manifold, splash all over the wiring harness, and the wires would start to burn. What they did to cure that problem is they covered the entire manifold with a heat shield. And that was one of the recalls they had between 84 and 85.
In this particular car here, we've installed a 3.1 liter turbo. In other cars, we've put 3.8 Park Avenue supercharged V6s. The latest thing are the new 300 horsepower Northstar V8s, which are a real kick in the pants in a small car like this.
So everybody agrees, by 1988, the Fiero was a terrific car. The question, though, still remains, why did General Motors pull the plug?
They were so good, they posed the competition to Corvette, and at the price they were selling them, which the top price was about $25,000, it was almost half the price of a Corvette. And that's my opinion of why they stopped making them, rather than what they claimed that the sales dropped so low that they couldn't sell enough cars to warrant their production.
There was one incident where back in '85, GM or Pontiac wanted to upgrade the performance of the vehicle, but didn't know how, and what they did was they integrated a turbo with the 2.8 that originally came in the engine with the car, and unfortunately the engine and the car outperformed the Corvette, and Chevrolet said no go.
The Corvette guys got a little bit antsy because the car was a foot longer than the 88, 89. And it was a very aggressive looking vehicle. So that plus the fact that sales of two-seaters were down, except for the Mr. 2 from Toyota, they elected to discontinue the program at that time and not pursue it any further.
There was a lot of bad blood, I guess, when we started the shop. People said we were crazy, we will never make a living at it. You know, there's not enough Fieros out there, and I guess we proved them wrong.